Hello, this is Dread, and in today's video topic, we're going to be playing some Torchlight Infinite today. So, I have a very rocky history with this game, at least personally. I was not very confident in the game's direction for a long time. I was very confused at some of the design decisions for the past few patches, but I think it's finally gotten to a point where I actually enjoy playing it again. Now, this patch is controversial to a lot of people who played Torchlight Infinite before, but I haven't played the last few patches. The last time I actually played seriously was Twilight Nightmare, and I can tell you this is significantly better than what we used to have, mainly in terms of progression and stuff like that. It feels a lot more natural for the most part. There's a few problems here and there, but like I have a few gripes, but it's nowhere near as bad as I used to, like care about. The biggest thing by far is all hero traits that aren't the current hero trait in the season mechanic are free. So like for instance, if you want to play something like the third trait of like let's say Gemma or something like that, you can do that now. If you want to play, Rayhan too. You can do that now. You don't have to do a legitimately large amount of grinding just to be able to play other hero traits. Now you just have to, buy the new hero trait if you want to, right? And I believe we'll get access to her later on as well, eventually. I don't know that exactly, but that is a huge boon to the game because I think that was one of the things I was holding it back. Because what'll happen is they'll play the game. They're like, okay, I like the game, but I don't like the character I'm playing. Let me try a different character. And since their choices were so limited, they just ended up quitting the game instead. So I think that this is a amazing change for the game's longevity overall, just making it so that people actually can play the characters that they want. I think that's a really good idea. Another change that has happened is they've changed crafting again. I don't know how I feel about the current crafting system. I haven't done the end game crafting. I've gotten to time mark 8 currently, as you'll see in the background, and I'm blasting through time mark 8, even though I probably shouldn't be considering the rate of my gear, but we'll get into that later. But I am doing time mark 8, and I haven't done any of the ultimate ember crafting, but I've heard it's a little expensive because of, just how it works. But the crafting up to this point hasn't been that hard. It's kind of just like Kalandra. You're just making your own gear and you're just rolling it until you get what you want. And I kind of like the old crafting a bit more, but that's just a personal thing. It's not like a big problem or anything like that, right? I just like the old crafting. The new crafting, you literally just change whatever affix you want and you pay the price for it or whatever until you get what you want. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I think there could be some things to add to complicate it or something like that, but it's not like the worst thing ever, right? There's so many things to min-max and Torchlight Infinite that your crafting being relatively simplistic is not that big of a deal because you still have divinity slates, hero traits now, how they've changed. That's actually another thing that I'm still mixed about is what they did was they reduced the complexity of hero traits. So they removed a lot of what the old hero traits had and they've condensed them into more palpable versions. But a lot of the time I've noticed from looking at all these trees, it feels like they've lost a lot of stuff that made them good. But of course, this patch was also meant to be a very big power reduction patch. Like they're trying to make it so people were less strong. So like it's not like that big of a deal, right? So yeah. So what build am I playing right now? So I leveled with Mind Control Yuga 2. That is because I have been playing Yuga 2 as my cycle starter for the past like 3 years. I've been playing Torchlight Infinite. Like it's been my kind of addiction on the side. But it was kind of funny because I was leveling it and I was like talking with my buddies. It's like, oh, you meta slut. I'm like, what do you mean meta slut? I've been playing this for 4 years. Oh, turns out Yuga 2 is very strong because of the way that they've reworked a lot of the damage and how crafting works and all that. It's a lot easier to get your hands on good reaping gear, like reaping cooldown recovery speed and stuff like that, versus getting good crit gear, which makes Yuga really good. Also, as well, they did nerf reap purification into the gutter. So that's why I decided to level as Yuga 2. But then I got to maps, I was like, I got to tier 7s, and I was like, I'm about to get to level 90. If you don't know, before level 90, you can like respec for free. So I was like, hey, let me try something new. So I decided to try Howling Gale, uh, Wilt Yuga. And I think the idea was flawed. It's going well, by the way. I'm really enjoying it, but I think it's definitely not the best thing you could be doing right now. There are a lot of other things you could be doing in Torchlight Infinite, like the power scale of what you could be doing versus what you are doing is such a large scale that you could always be like, oh, but you could be playing Mermaid. Oh, you could be playing this. Apparently, there's a secret Carino 2 build that's going out there as well, which is kind of funny. People have been hushing about that. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, I'm enjoying my build. I think the main reason my build's even working right now is because I managed to buy a pair of double memories really early on. Memories were only like 5 FE per, which blew my mind because memories are just kind of absurd. If you don't know what it is, it's like a dagger that gives you a lot of your skill's base damage is base wilt damage, which is hard to come by in other places. And it also gives you a lot of explosion chance on enemies. Like you see how they like pop for like 2 billion or whatever. I only do 100 million on the dummy right now, but I'll have enemies casually popping for like 2 billion or whatever in monos or like, time marks or whatever, right? And that is because of the wilt daggers. They are doing absurd amounts of damage right now. My single target is acceptable. I did my tier 7 traveler at like 100 million. It was like good enough, but it wasn't like the best. But what's really nice about this build is I can kind of like set and forget the Cowling Gale and kind of like move on. And there's a lot of upgrades I can do to make the damage a lot more competitive. Like we could probably hit 1 billion if I cared enough, which I'll probably end up doing because that's the main takeaway I think most people should have from this. If you play Torchlight Infinite in the past, or you haven't played Torchlight Infinite in the past, and the main thing that was keeping you away from it was the hero trait locking behind stuff, I think now is the time to play. You have so much stuff to do. Like there's so many characters you can try. Now, of course, if you ask the more elitist or people around here, they'll complain about the certain viability of certain characters. But all things considered, I think it's been very fun. That's the thing I want you to take away from this video is Torchlight Infinite is fun right now. It's actually entertaining. And that has been not a thing for the past like maybe year or so where Torchlight Infinite just hasn't been fun, at least for me anyway. So it gets my seal of approval. You can also self-farm your own pack spirits too, much quicker, thanks to some things that they've added this season. I haven't really gotten into it, but essentially, if you play long enough and do well enough, you can actually manage to get a pack spirit per season now, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't looked into it too much, but I haven't really cared too much about pack spirits myself, mainly because, it's kind of pay to win, quote unquote. And also as well, like, I'm not really like interested in min-maxing it to that extent because I kind of just play for like a week maybe and then move on. And, it's finally gotten back to that where I'll play it for a week and move on, I think. I think the Pee-wee 2 stuff's coming in November, so I don't know how long I'll be playing Torchlight Infinite, but I might make a few videos here or there. But with all that being said, this has been Dread. I've just been enjoying my time with Torchlight Infinite. Bye.